all over
We've
the road.
adopted, the commissioners
So I pulled
adopted
up and they said
resolution,
that they
which is
would
what
take
they
care of
need
it,
to
and they
do.
would clean it off.
Get James Bain fund.
Good morning, everybody. It's the Delaware County Commissioners meeting. It's Monday, August 21st. Time is 9:03. Let's open the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Carroll, could you call the roll, please?
Ms. Henry.
Here.
Mr. King.
Here.
Mr. Reagan.
Present.
Mr. Rook.
Here.
Ms. Smith.
All right, under appointments, we have the CERTA Board, Sherry.
Yes, I'd like to nominate Mary Ann Poe, who works down in the Plan Commission, and make it just effective until December 31st of this year. So when the new person comes in, if they'd like to make a change, they have that freedom.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion to nominate Mary Ann Poe. A second, roll call, please.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Ms. Reagan.
Yes.
Ms. Henry.
Yes. Next, we have the approval of the minutes, the commission meeting on August 7th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the minutes and a second, roll call, please.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Ms. Reagan.
Yes.
Ms. Henry.
Yes. All right, next we have presentations, Isaiah 117 House, Kimberly Hall.
Hello, thank you for having us. We want to tell you how Isaiah 117 House is changing the way foster care begins here in Delaware County. To understand that, we first need to talk about how it starts in Indiana, where they begin. When a child is removed from their parent because of abuse or neglect, right now they go back to the DCS office while the caseworkers find a suitable, safe placement for them. I don't know if you've ever been to our DCS office. It looks something like this, but the room is a lot bigger and there's way more cubicles. It's very industrial. It's very cold. Hard cement floor, industrial carpet, kind of unfriendly and no place for a child to be. We've had children in the office at DCS for several hours, up to a few days. And as of Saturday, Delaware County had 206 total children in the system and 109 of these since January this year. So that's 109 removal days that happened in Delaware County. These children are often brought to the office in the middle of the night. They usually have no possessions. Some don't even have clothes. They're scared and confused. They don't know what's going to happen next. They've been taken from the only mom they've ever known. And while we may not approve of how that mom is doing, they do, and they want to be with their family. Rhonda, who is the founder of Isaiah 117 House, trained to be a foster parent. And she, during the presentation at the DCS office, they said, you know, this is where we bring the kids. And she couldn't believe it, that they brought them back to this, you know, cold environment. You know, they have a couple of conference rooms with a basket of toys. And so she said, there has to be a better way. And so she said, what if there was a home? What if there was a home that we could bring these children to while they waited to be brought to a safe foster home? What if there was a home with beds and toys and a table full of their favorite food? And so what if the home had an office where DCS could do their job of finding a placement out of earshot of the children, but still within sight? They could also have volunteers be in this home to bake cookies, read a book, tuck the kids into bed. So this is our mission: to reduce trauma for children entering foster care, ease the burden on the Department of Child Services, and support placement families. We will have in this home a large storage area that will have shoes and clothes and backpacks for all of the children that come through our house. But we also will support any foster family. If grandma wants to be placement for her grandchildren, but she doesn't have a crib, we'll find her one. And we'll also have meals that the children can take to their placement families, so they can feel like they're contributing something. So what are we doing now? You might have seen us around town. This is at the Fire Up downtown. We have expansion meetings every first Sunday of the month for the community. Everyone is invited. The more people we involve, the faster we'll get it done. And those are the first Sunday of the month at 4:00 at the Patterson Building. We're speaking to anyone that will listen, so thank you for listening. We are gearing up for fundraising, and that starts on November 16th at our cook-off. We're looking for property and trying to spread the word. So why am I here? Completely out of my comfort zone, talking to people. But I became involved with CASA. I volunteered to be a court-appointed special advocate. And this is one of my girls. And her mom found out about Isaiah House and said, hey, what do you think of this? And I said, we need it. After volunteering for a couple of years with CASA, I joined their staff. I'm the admin there. And I have seen how much we need this in Delaware County. So what can you do? How could you get involved? Come to expansion meetings, 4:00 Patterson Building, first Sunday of the month. Help us find speaking engagements. You could host a lemonade stand, which is basically our way of just talking to people. We hope there'll also be fundraising opportunities in the future. We need sponsors for our November 16th luncheon. And we're looking for people in the community to do that. And we're also looking for property. You know, we're aware of some of the land holdings that you have, and we're hoping that we can find a place that is convenient for DCS, but also fits our needs. And that is all we have. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
How much property are you looking to have? A lot, 2 lots?
2 lots.
2 lots?
So you're just in a temporary place now, or?
We aren't anywhere. We're
You're-
just at the beginning,
you're-
so we don't have a home. The picture I showed you before was of a home in Tennessee where this was started.
Okay. Yes.
We do have one home in Marion County was opened a couple of weeks ago, and I think there's 2 others that are open now, but this is now in 40 states and growing much faster than they thought it would.
Tell us a little bit about your November 16th luncheon.
So we have a luncheon and a dinner where we are looking for sponsors and people to sponsor a table and come and let us just tell them all about Isaiah House and, you know, what we need, and hopefully raise some money so that we can move quickly on getting this place. There is no emergency care in Delaware County. And several surrounding counties. And we also will take in children from other counties if the home is available. Because, like I said, counties around us don't have it either. They don't have a place.
Very
The
nice.
luncheon, hosting a table doesn't cost anything. Eating the lunch doesn't cost anything. It's just with everyone, we can together
Okay,
to get the house built.
thank you.
Have you got a cost yet on the home?
The home,
They estimate to be around, but a lot of that will be like fine donations. They like to see most of the money come from the community, just so that, support network is built. Because once the home is open, it is ran by volunteers.
we want this to be our community's house.
Right.
We don't want it to be our house. It's
Right,
for our
right.
community's children,
Oh,
so that,
How close you need it to be to DCS?
Ideally 10 to 15 minutes, but we've talked to the department and they said wherever, just get it open fast.
Those people are on call, I suppose,
yes.
24/7.
Yes, there's the on-call people at DCS who will then give us a call, and we'll have someone on call at all times who will then meet them at the house or get a hold of a volunteer to meet them.
I was just thinking, being a landlord, that until you get yours built, that you could find a rental to someone would help you out?
They like to have everything deeded over to,
Well, I can understand that,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, the Isaiah house, like, they just have kind of some cutout.
Is
guidelines
that
on
state nationwide, Isaiah House? Or
Yes.
the-
Yes, the
Okay.
first house started in, 2018 in Tennessee, and they now have 19 open homes, with more than 30 in the same kind of position we are, and they're spread across 40 different states,
40,
40.
Is there any state or federal funding that you know of available?
No, there is not. It's all.
So you'll
locally.
need, donations to sustain
Yes.
the
Yeah.
house there as well.
and, while we're on foster care, there's such a shortage for foster families, period.
Yes.
I understand.
And they've seen from other homes that this attracts people who are somewhat interested, but kind of, nervous about it all.
Mhm.
But they've actually like got foster parents out of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we'll work with you, trying to find something. Thanks for your presentation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Something needed, for sure. Next, we'll go down to ordinances for second reading. Ordinance number 2023-017, extend the moratorium on the solar farms to December 31st, 2023.
This is the second reading of the ordinance to extend the moratorium for solar farms in Delaware County to the end of this year to allow the committee to complete their work.
So move.
We have a motion to approve. I'll second it.
Approve of the second reading.
I'm
Move
sorry,
the second reading to adopt.
adopt, yes. Roll call, please.
Mr. King,
Bill,
Ms. Reagan,
Yes.
Ms. Henry.
Yes. All right, next we'll go to, department heads and elected officials. We have the, Delaware County Soil and Water Photo
Yes.
Contest. Does somebody want to talk about that?
Mr. Newby's here for us.
Thank you. My name is John Newby. I'm from the Delaware County Soil and Water Board. I want to let everybody know that we are developing a new plat book. The last one was 2020 for Delaware County. And as we have done in the past, we're having a photo contest, which you can access on our website. The first and second place photos will be on the cover of the new issue, and then some of the other photos will be on the interior of it. So we encourage anybody that wants to send in a photo, go to the website and look at the information. It needs to be in Delaware County. It could be landscapes, farm buildings, wildlife, anything that looks like a nice photo that would be, that would display Delaware County's beauty. And also wanted to let you know that there will be a meeting tomorrow. It's called a local work group meeting hosted by Wes Slane, our district conservationist. This is an annual meeting and it's open to the public, and we encourage the public to attend it. It will be out at the USDA Center on Briarwood. And the purpose of this meeting is to pool our minds together and our thoughts based on our own observations about what are the prioritized needs of conservation for Delaware County. For instance, erosion, invasives, all those type of things. And as a work group, we will develop and prioritize what's the most important, I think down 1 through 10. And this helps us when we go to try to obtain federal funding for leverage. That will be out at the USDA Center at 10 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah.
So don't forget the photos, send your photos in. Thank you.
John, thanks for all your work that you do on that board, and I will be there. I have it down, and I never will forget when I went to, I'm a farm background, of course, but when I went to my first meeting about cover crops, how important that was. They had a beet, and that root was down about 6 foot. So we know then the water gets all the way down, and it's so important to have good
Right.
drainage
There
around
is
here.
just so many benefits to cover crops, and that's just one of them. It also provides As that starts to decompose, it provides nitrogen to the soil, prevents erosion, provides a mulch to help prevent weeds. It's just, you know, it can go on and on, so.
Appreciate all your work.
Thank you.
Morning, Commissioners. Jeff Hanser, Chief Probation Officer. I was here a couple weeks ago giving the Commissioners an update on some initiatives that we were working on out of the Probation Department related to both the adult and juvenile programs. One of the things I mentioned was the Credible Messenger program towards the end, and there was some interest, and people kind of asked me after that meeting if I could give a little more information about that. So I invited one of our community partners that we're working with to come speak a little bit more in depth about Credible Messenger program. But before I do that, I just want to kind of reiterate what the Isaiah House folks talked about today in terms of the lack of emergency placement for kids in the community when they are especially detained by DCS. I mean, as they mentioned right now, you have situations where we have, you know, young kids, you know, sometimes teenagers, they're removed from their home by DCS, and they literally have to go sleep in an office building, sometimes for a few days until a placement can be secured for them. It's totally unacceptable. It's totally inappropriate, but people within the system are just doing the best they can with what they got. We're going to keep working on this issue and try to develop solutions, but it's pretty outrageous given some of the resources we have in this community that could be utilized and leveraged to find short-term emergency placement for kids. You know, we had it 20 years ago. We don't have it now. So we're going to keep working on trying to figure that out. The other component of the Isaiah House program that they're working on is this safe place process. And I don't, you know, we probably, like a lot of us, have seen this logo on the side of buildings over the year where there's a yellow yield sign. It says safe place, has like a kid picture on it. If you text, the state of Indiana has funds and they provide funding for this. If you text the number for the state, it says if you're a child and you're in a emergency situation and you need help, text this number and it will direct you to the nearest safe place. I sat in my office at the Justice Center last month and texted that number, and it told me to go to 101 South Main Street in Dunkirk, Indiana, to find a safe place. And I about fell out of my chair when that happened. So that's another piece of this bigger puzzle that we're working on to fix. But that's actually the town offices for the city of Dunkirk. So for the safe place to direct someone there as the nearest location that a kid could find help is pretty unacceptable as well. So I think you all would agree with that. So that being said, I want to have Neil Kring come up and give you a quick overview on the Credible Messenger program we're working on.
Thank you for having me here today. There has been a group that has formed over the last almost year and a half of just some people whose lives, their work intersects with some of the challenges that kids in our community are facing. And so judges and probation and community organizations, Urban Light CDC, the 812 Coalition, the Tiki Olam Hope Chest in Whiteley neighborhood, the Parks Department, started meeting to begin to try to figure out, is there an approach of reducing violence in neighborhoods? Is there an approach for engaging with kids in the places they are? A lot of that honestly came out of, I'm a neighborhood pastor with Urban Light Community Development, which don't think of a traditional pastor. I don't even have a church. I just am mostly in two neighborhoods. I work in Thomas Park, Avondale, which is where I live, and I also work in Industry neighborhood. And in those neighborhoods, which are very similar to many other South Side and East Side neighborhoods, there are a lot of kids in the community who are struggling. We see that because of their engagement with law enforcement, their engagement with neighbors. We're hearing about shootings, violence done in communities. And when kids are struggling, it's because families are struggling. And when families are struggling, and it's in a condensed area, it's often because communities are really struggling and neighborhoods are struggling. And when we started doing work in Thomas Park, Avondale, actually, when I moved over there, I said, I'm done working with kids because I had coached basketball, led youth groups, I had done all that stuff, and I seriously was done. And within probably a month, my backyard, my front yard, the parking lot next to me was full of kids. And you just can't get away if you're an available person who has something positive to offer. There are kids. So we've started a neighborhood bike shop. We started all these kinds of things, but through the different things that we've done with kids, we did an anger management group with kids. We've connected with the local elementary school and gotten to know kids there. As we've gotten to know kids, of course, we have gotten to know the kids who are having a lot of troubles, and their families are having a lot of troubles too. And so we've been in the middle of kids who jumped other kids, stolen stuff, kids who have guns. These are like our neighborhood kids. The kids that we see and interact with every day. We know their names, we have their parents' phone numbers. And because they're gathering so much, like in the parking lot or over by the Ross Center, we came up with this idea of what if there were just more people that were available to engage with these kids. I don't even want to engage with kids. And here we are kind of in the middle of this like place where there's so many kids. If we could find people who actually would probably be better than me to do it, people who know the streets, people who understand the challenges that kids are facing, and find a way to pay people to do this kind of work. As we began to do some research, we found some of these evidence-based approaches, which are one of the most, or I guess one of the approaches that's producing the most results in communities like ours, is the idea of taking people who've had former engagement with the criminal justice system themselves to become street mentors for kids. And then helping those kids to connect to the good things that are out in our community, because there's actually a lot of really good things for kids. But most of those kids don't make it into the door of the Boys and Girls Club. They don't make it into the door of the Ross Center. They don't make it into the door of the places where things are set up to actually provide something for those kids. A lot of those kids aren't even going to school. So meeting them in the places they are, building relationships, that's what's working in our neighborhoods, in the communities we're working with. I could probably write down a list of 60 kids that I know, that I've met in the neighborhoods, and I've got to know their families, taken food to their families, help kids get connected to school. We've had kids live in our home temporarily. And it's a messy, challenging process, but we are going to be hosting at the end of September a program to train community members in this credible messenger approach. And we're hoping to train half of the group will be system organizational people whose work interacts with kids, and the other half will be people who've had their own personal engagement with the criminal justice system and are out of that world a little bit, and they can then become people who can receive training in this sort of community approach to meet kids where they're at and then help them get connected to things. It's one thing in the midst of a lot of other good things that are already happening in our community. But, the Isaiah House presentation, I've had kids show up at my door who have spent the night out on the streets. And they're complete, so we're talking about kids that are engaged with the DCS system. There's a lot of kids that have no engagement with that. They're kind of figuring out life for themselves. And these are just young kids, 12, 13, 14-year-old kids. And I'm shocked to learn some of the things that I've learned in my community about how many people are facing some of the challenges that they are. Because I lived in other parts of Delaware County, and I didn't see that same sort of challenges specifically in my community among many of the people who are there. So we're really committed to this approach. We've raised, or we have about $25,000 that we're paying these trainers to come in. The city is giving us some money for providing meals. We're looking for money for stipends for some of the folks who are gonna have to take time off work to participate in this three-day training. And then we're hoping to secure money, grant funding for 2 positions of people that work on the streets with these kids. So did I cover everything? Probably everything and then a lot more. Sorry about my long-windedness, but of course, for someone who doesn't want to be doing work with youth, we're doing a lot, and I actually believe that this is gonna work, because these kids have a lot of potential, and, we just have to find some new and different and creative ways to help engage with them, so that's all I have, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. We have that wellness account that is in our edit. We take some money out of there,
How much you wanna use?
10,000.
How much is in that account? Do you remember?
I can take a look at it.
You making that a motion?
Yes, sir.
I'll second it.
We have a motion
Wellness.
to give that group 10,000 and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Ms. Reagan,
Yes,
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
that helped.
Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you very much.
All right.
Never apologize for your passion.
While we wait on Mike to get up here, I have a series of deeds for commissioners to sign. These are from the, deed sale
Oh, yeah,
from last year. We cleaned up all those
good.
particular deeds, and all those issues. And we have those to sign. This have to be signed by the auditor and then the commissioners.
All of them.
Yes.
Mike,
Hi, Mike Ashley, Delaware County EMS. I was approached by Eaton EMS, Mike Foster, wanted to know about seeking your permission to decommission a ambulance that was purchased for them back in 2009 by the county. It's a 2009 14-year-old ambulance with over 200,000 miles. I mean, it's just at the end of its life. They put 2 engines in it. I spent about 40 grand on it. He just wants to know if we can get it decommissioned, he can get the title and then do whatever with it, but it's wore out. So this is just something we usually do at the end of the life. It's just one of the trucks that the commissioners actually hold the title for, so.
Would it be like a truck that Ivy Tech could take apart and teach stuff on, or too big?
Too big. This is probably something that
Take the bed off?
he may take it, I asked him what he planned to do with it, he's not sure yet. My guess is he might, if he's got the money, re-chassis it, but that'll cost him $150,000 to $180,000. I don't know if he's gonna invest that in it. But generally, we just give it back to the service in the past, give it back to the services, and that kind of helps recoup. He spent, almost $40,000 on this truck, putting 2 engines in it over the life of it. And it's a Chevy diesel, which I can attest those things were not good. So we got stuck with those when Ford wasn't
Don't put
making
that in,
ambulances
yeah.
for a few years. So
have a motion to approve?
Yeah, so move.
Second.
Have a motion to approve the request and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Ms. Reagan,
Yes.
Mr. Henry.
Yes,
thank you very much.
thank you. Any other department heads or elected officials? All right, everybody received their weights and measures monthly report. We have the payment of claims of $973,598.56, and the payment of ARP claims of $204,754.68.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to pay the claims and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Ms. Reagan,
Yes.
Mr. Henry.
Yes. Next, we have some public speakers signed up. Please try to keep your comments to 3 minutes. And the first individual who signed up was Neil, not sure the last name.
That was me, sorry.
Okay.
Jeff had me speak.
Yeah, you gotta do what Jeff says.
Next is John Newby.
Oh, that was also,
That was done too.
we weren't sure, he wasn't sure if it.
We'll go to Mitch Isaacs.
morning, Commissioners. Mitch Isaacs, Schaefer Leadership Academy, joined by our newest team member, Ted Ward, Membership Director for Schaefer Leadership Academy. Here to discuss the county re-engaging in a membership with Schaefer Leadership Academy. This would be your second, perhaps third year as members. Membership with Schaefer Leadership Academy provides all county employees unlimited access to in-person and virtual trainings, provides discounts on customized training. It provides discounts on special programs. Also provides you as the county with access to our government board interest system. So we have about 100 people who have raised their hands and said that they want to serve on government boards and commissions. I think Commissioner Reagan was just talking about a board when the meeting started. So that provides you all with access. That was something we just discussed with county council about 2 meetings ago, and something I know they're very interested in. In addition to all of the standard membership benefits, we're also coming and offering you specifically, we're throwing in some board training. Commissioner Reagan had said there was some need for 1 or 2 boards with Delaware County, and that is something that we do a lot of is board development and training, everything from board recruitment to board governance to board assessment. And so this is really just returning to you and asking for you to come back at the presidential membership level. We've also included our quarterly newsletter that tells you about some of our activities at Schaefer Leadership Academy, including our upcoming programs. Your membership not only receives all the benefits from the county, but it also helps offset work we do in terms of getting people engaged and active in the community, into neighborhood associations, government boards, not-for-profit boards. And so your membership also offsets that work as well. Happy to answer any questions from the group. For those who don't know, while the commissioners are reviewing the materials, the Schaefer and Schaefer Leadership Academy refers to Hamer and Phyllis Schaefer. If you know Muncie Power Products, then Mr. Schaefer and his wife were integral in taking Muncie Power Products from the small regional organization that it was at the time to now the multinational organization that we are fortunate to have headquartered in Muncie today. The Schaefer name is on the Schaefer Bell Tower. It is the Schaefer Library at Ivy Tech and the Schaefer Giving Tree at the YOC and the Schaefer Room at the Country Club. So we're proud to help support and continue the legacy of Mr. and Mrs. Schaefer.
I always enjoy reading your emails, and you're just keeping us, these young leaders, building them up. And I'd like to make a motion that we renew.
Second.
Did we, you come in and trained on, culture diversity, I believe, last time, is that correct?
Yes, we did that, I think, in 2020.
Was there anything after that? Was there any more training after that?
None specifically that you asked for, but we're happy to provide anything you may need.
All right, we have a motion to approve and a second. Roll call, please.
Ms. King,
Yes.
Ms. Reagan,
Yes.
Mr. Henry.
No. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Sue Arrington.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm here in support of the solar ordinance and lifting the moratorium once the ordinance is ready for review. I'm here with 2 other people, Lynn Hale and Cheryl Swingley. We're all members of the League of Women Voters of Delaware, Muncie and Delaware County. And there are a little over 100 members, mostly in Muncie and Yorktown, but others are in other parts of the county as well. Last year, we studied the issue of solar, commercial solar, and have taken a position in support as an organization. So I wanted to ask you today, I know you just passed another moratorium till the end of the year, and I understand why you did it. I'm wondering though, if the ordinance is ready sooner than December, would it be possible to end the moratorium sooner?
Yes.
And could you tell me what the status of that, the plan is for rolling out the plan commission to have their hearing, and is that set yet?
Randy, would you mind coming up and kind of give us an update, please?
Brandy Ingerman with the Plan Commission. Currently, as it stands, sorry, we, hired a consultant to go over the meetings that Marta did have with the Solar Study Committee last year. She's been reviewing all of those notes, minutes, going through all of that. She is going to provide us with a report, that will then go to the Solar Study Committee for their blessing, that this was in fact what they discussed, what they, agreed to change within the ordinance that we have. Once we have their blessing, we will then put that with the Plan Commission. It'll be on the website. The public will be able to look at that. We'll have that large public meeting that we had before, for public input. Depending on how that lands then with the Plan Commission, it would then go before the commissioners for, their approval as well.
And are we still hoping for, possibly October?
Yes, at this point, we're really hoping that before the end of August, that we're able to have that report, so that we can put together a meeting with the Solar Study Committee. That was a 9-member, committee, so trying to get together with all of those guys. If we have to do it in Zoom, we'll do it that way, but to get their blessing so that we can then move forward. There's no way that that can be on this September Plan Commission meeting at this point. There's just not enough time.
And so it'd be, we're hoping for October 5th.
Hoping for October,
October 5th.
or November. October is our really our hope,
Yeah.
yes.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. I do hope that the Plan Commission, the study of Marta's notes, will be done quickly because the counties surrounding Delaware County already are in action, and either they've already up and running or they've got plans to begin. And we're sort of like an island here that's not doing anything. And the state is really encouraging counties and municipalities, if they wish, to adopt renewable energy ordinances, and in our case, solar. In the session that ended, was in 2022, the state enacted through the legislature voluntary ordinance standards. And I'm guessing that Marta, as she was drawing up the plan, if that was available at the time, would have consulted those standards. In this past session that just ended in April, we passed a Senate bill, 390, which establishes a, called the Commercial Solar and Wind Energy Ready Communities Development Center. This, and it was to start in 1st of July, and it has. They've got it started. It provides information for communities that are interested, but it also has a funding mechanism in it for counties or municipalities that meet what those voluntary standards are or above. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with those initiatives from the state, but they are there. The center is within the Indiana Office of Energy Development. And the money wasn't appropriated in this session we just ended, which was a budget year, because the center actually hadn't yet been established. Now it is, so the next possible time for the state budget to include funding for this would be in 2025. However, there are grants out there that Indiana can bring in, and then for eligible communities, the local communities could apply for those grants. So I think there's a lot of reasons why we would want to adopt a strong solar ordinance in this county, and I urge you to do so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's the last person that signed up. John, is there any public comments or anything online?
Not that I could find.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to recess.
Second,
We have a motion to recess and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Reagan,
yes.
Mr. Henry.
Yes. Recess.
Pass those down.